Hey, this is Georgie.
And Pete.
And welcome to Studio Jargon Busters, where we talk about commonly used studio terms and put them into plain English.
That's right. In every episode, we're going to talk about a commonly used and sometimes misunderstood studio or audio term. And what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about tracking, which I know nothing about, so you're going to have to help me.
Okay, let's talk about tracking right now. Let's go.
Okay, so tracking, what is it?
So, what do you think? What do you think tracking is? I like to do this.
Put me on the spot. Tracking is putting things in tracks.
Exactly. Spot on. It is putting things in tracks, 100%. So when we're recording, as we talked about in the DAW episode, Digital Audio Workstation, we are recording, we're doing multi-track recording. So tracking is basically a term that, not surprisingly, means recording to one or more tracks at one time. So if you are tracking your guitar, you will plug your guitar into your interface, you'll get your digital audio workstation, you'll hit record, you'll start playing your guitar, and you will record that entire track. When you are ready to add your next track, you'll overdub. We'll talk about overdubbing another day, but to give you a bit of a tip, overdubbing is just doing another track on top of an original track. So you'll hear one track, you'll record the other track, overdubbing. You can track an entire band. So if you had 16 different inputs and channels,
You do it all at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. You could have everyone recording at once. So,
but why would you?
Why would you? Good question. If you've got a whole band and you've got 16 different inputs, you can plug a bunch of different microphones and a bunch of different
Input,
yep. So in your interface, into your, what is like the mixing desk or like your interface that goes into your digital audio workstation, you can plug in most of them. For the sort of home studio things that I use, have like 2 inputs, maybe 4 inputs. You can have 8, 16, 32, depending how high level you go. So that just means how many different things you can plug into your digital audio workstation. So if you had, say you had a 4 input, we talked about 4-track recorders before. If you have 4 inputs, it means that 4 different microphones can plug in. So if you've got a band and you want to do a very simple recording, you could record a vocal, a guitar, a bass, and a drums. We talked about that before. If you then have 8 or 16 inputs, you can put multiple microphones on each of those. So you might want to put 2 microphones on one guitar to get like a stereo guitar sound.
So it kind of makes it a little bit more, gives us a bit of depth.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your stereo spectrum. You can have recording that goes to your left and your right channels, or left and right panning side. We'll talk about panning another day. Panning. And and you can also obviously add more and more. So you can, even if you recorded, say you had a whole band, you recorded 8 of those tracks at once, and then you wanted to overdub some backing vocals, or you want to do some harmonies, or you've got a lead guitar part, you can do that. Yeah, exactly. So to bring it back to the topic, Tracking just simply means recording. So it's like one of those things that we love.
It doesn't.
It pretty much does.
Okay.
It means recording to tracks. It means recording to a track and being able to record multi-tracking. You can record to your DAW and then you can make a song. Okay, so I feel that I've probably confused this matter more than I have actually explained it. Do you have any questions about the term tracking?
Why would you do them separately, or why would you do them all together? What's better?
Okay, so it's a bit of a choice thing. So if you, the point of having individual tracks is to have individual control, so that you can put the volume up or down, you can pan it left, right, you can add your different plugins and effects, which we'll talk about another day as well, to make sure that each individual track has. So even if you do them together, you'll record them 2 separate tracks. So the purpose of not just recording everything to one stereo track is that if one person makes a mistake, your bass player hits the wrong note, because bass players are renowned for hitting wrong notes, right? Or your drummer doesn't hit the right notes.
Bloody drummers.
Right. Then you can't fix that. Whereas if you record them all to individual tracks, then of course you can go back in and fix that. So even if you record together, the point of having multiple tracks that when you're tracking is to actually have that independence, which means that you can just make edits and adjustments to each individual track.
So you could do them individually, or you could do them all at the same time.
Yep.
And it's about the same?
Yeah, pretty much. The other thing that you can, if you record them all together, if you're not in a perfect room, so we're in a room that was like a bedroom, which is now our studio and everything else room. So if we had a drum kit and a bass guitar and a keyboard and a singer,
We'd have nobody to play them.
We'd have nobody to play them for starters, but we would also not have any isolation of instruments. So if you had a bunch of microphones on all of those instruments, there would be a lot of bleed that would go between the instruments. So that's the other problem you have.
Being, you could hear the drums in the microphone of the vocals.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So when you do a full band recording, you need to kind of be in a decent studio space so that you don't have that bleed. And bleed's not terrible, but it means that if someone makes a mistake again, you'll hear the mistake of the bass player in the drummer's microphones, and then it makes it harder to edit. So for the home studio user, when they're tracking, generally they'll do it one track at a time, or at least if you're tracking multiple things, so if you're doing guitar and vocals on 2 tracks, then you'll have them separated out so that you can actually have the 2 different tracks, and then you just have to manage any bleed you might get between the 2 tracks.
Makes sense.
Nice.
I think I understand tracking.
Very good. Well, thank you. Like I said, it was a big circle, I think, of tracking.
A perfect circle?
Yeah, I like that band. They're a very good band. So if you have any questions about tracking, or if you think I got this completely wrong, then please leave comments, questions, or suggestions down below. And if you've got ideas for future episodes, we would love to hear them. And for more tips and tricks and videos, check out studiolivetoday.com. And until next time, we will see you next time.
On Jargon Busters. Wait, that's not right. Thanks for watching Studio Jargon Busters. To find out when new episodes drop, hit the subscribe button. To watch another episode right now, click or tap on the icon on the left, and for more recording tips, tricks and tutorials, click or tap on the right.